Starting. And we're live. Alright. Fanny Pack Wrestling Podcast in a 3, 2, 1. Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome to another fine episode of the Fanny Pack Wrestling Podcast. I'm Petey Rave, and I've got a few things. I've got a belly full of fried rice and orange chicken, and I've also got a slew of fantastic guests, and starting with my co-compatriot, my tag team partner. As always, I've got DJ M. How you doing, DJ M?
Hasta lasagna, Petey Rave. Welcome, one and all. Fanny Pack is better than ever. Got a knack from wrestling better. And I forgot the words of the rest that I was gonna do. No. I'm done. Introduce our first guest.
Yes. Of course, we have our first guest, a returning champion. Somebody we've seen here before, a fantastic guest. We've got none other than the Stormy Sooner herself, Natalie Serjeant. Natalie, how's it going?
It is going. Good to be here again. Good to be here.
Who else do we have, Deej?
Well, we have a brand new compatriot on the Fanny Pack Wrestling Podcast, another friend of mine, formerly from the ProWrestling.com forums, coming to us all the way from Culiacan, Sinaloa, Mexico, Mr. Armando Martinez. Armando, thanks for joining us.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here. Hello, everyone.
Awesome. And again, thanks for joining us. Now, we totally did not plan this because Armando was on the show. We didn't plan it this way. We did not plan it this way. It just worked out on the schedule. But today, on this episode of the Fanny Pack Wrestling Podcast, we will be talking about the newest wrestling property out there on the scene, coming to us from the El Rey Network, Lucha Underground. Petey, tell us a little bit about Lucha Underground.
Lucha Underground is executive produced by none other than Mark Burnett and Robert Rodriguez. He, of course, of Machete and various film property names. And it is primarily ran by the AAA organization over there, obvious by the presence of a few of the talents there, and by none other than Conan. So this is very much an extension of AAA, and it's definitely very reminiscent of a couple of shows we talked about on one specific show we talked about before, and a couple of the properties, right, Deej?
Yes, indeed. This show is based out of Los Angeles, California, through affiliation with AAA in Mexico, and there is a good amount of influence and callback to the infamous Wrestling Society X. It is being taped and performed inside of the same facilities. A good number of the production team that was involved with this project at MTV is working on Lucha Underground for the El Rey Network, and yes, there's some Wrestling Society X in Lucha Underground. Unfortunately, no Fabian Kalin as the ring announcer, but you cannot have everything. But let's just jump right in. Natalie, first of all, just jumping into Lucha Underground, what was your first thought when you saw and heard about this promotion?
Well, the first I'd heard about it, hadn't sat down and watched anything until you guys kind of provided me the materials. My first impressions, I think the episodes I watched, the 4 episodes, were really tight. The production quality was really high. Some of the little interstitial, which we'll get into, I'm sure, in detail, little moments, between the matches were a little hokey, but nothing unforgivable. But overall, I enjoyed it.
All right, and Armando, you're probably, I'm going to take a stab in the dark here and say, you're probably the most savvy on all things Lucha Libre in this podcast episode right now. What was your first thought when you first heard about Lucha Underground and just jumping into it?
Well, you see, the first thing I heard about Lucha Underground was Lucha on an American setting. Americanized Lucha, if you will. That scared me a lot. Simply
And
because
rightfully so.
the best description I got was it was slower. And I could not buy it at first. But then I saw the first match. And then I saw that Chavo Guerrero is one of the fucking producers. Oh, sorry. I'm not supposed to swear,
That's okay.
right?
It's okay.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I'll try to keep it down. But yeah, Chavo is a producer. And it shows. But at the same time, it's different. And I like it. I totally like that they embrace the fact that, hey, this is a TV show, not a sport.
Yes.
I was impressed. And
Yes.
I'm very welcome with what comes next.
All right, let's just jump in. As Armando mentioned, Chavo Guerrero is involved in the production of Lucha Underground, and the very first match of episode 1 of Lucha Underground was Chavo Guerrero, who actually got chance for himself, not Eddie.
Yes.
He got chance for himself, for Chavo,
Yes.
taking
Really?
on...
Striker made me think otherwise.
Well, we're going to talk about Matt Striker.
We're talking about,
Taking on Blue Demon Jr. In the first match of episode 1 of Lucha Underground. Just jumping into Lucha Underground episode 1, we saw Johnny Mundo, the former John Morrison of WWE fame, my future wife, Sexy Star, and my future soon-to-be, hopefully, father-in-law. I don't know, something. I'm going to start worshiping this man, I swear. The owner and promoter of Lucha Underground, Mr. Dario Cueto. Petey,
yes.
we need to talk about Dario Cueto.
Dario Cueto was a fascinating character because one of the main things that they emphasized early on was that he's Spanish, not Mexican, which is, for those of us who are Hispanic, understand that how actually that is significant, how that works
really?
for him
I
to
didn't
be a
catch
deal.
that. I did not catch that.
You said that in
I
the
caught
first
that.
episode.
Yeah, I caught that. Because there's when there's a lot of language about colonizers and conquerors about white people. Well, there was other colonizers and conquerors, and they spoke a Romance language. So that is something that is part of a lot of culture in a lot of Hispanic cultures. Is that history.
That makes the whole thing. That makes the whole thing with Prince Puma that much more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that is, and that trust me, that is a very interesting plot line just on that level. But yeah, Dario Cueto is a ham and hilarious. Armando, I have to ask you, what was your impression kind of the first episode, but especially Dario Cueto? Let's get started.
Well, you see, like I said before, this is a TV show. It doesn't joke about it. It doesn't try to be real. And that might be the thing that makes me more welcoming of another evil authority figure. I like this guy. He's fun.
He's wonderful. He's absolutely wonderful. I'm someone that has despised the pro wrestling trope of the heel authority figure for years and years and years and years and years. I truly wish it would die. But Dario Cueto has given that trope a whole new life for me. He is absolutely wonderful. He's a character. He's a maniacal madman who's obsessed with power, but he has style and he has flair, and he just does everything right for me. I love Dario Cueto so much.
I think his strength is that he's not so much a wrestling heel authority figure. He's a soap opera villain. He is a telenovela villain.
And that's something I wanted to ask Armando about. One thing that I've seen from a lot of reviews and write-ups about Lucha Underground is that it is being described as a telenovela about a Lucha Libre promotion. Armando, what would you say about that in the whole comparisons to a telenovela and Lucha Underground?
I think they're wrong. Because you see, telenovelas are a lot more lousy and a lot more over-dramatic on other aspects. If I were to compare Lucha Underground to something, it's like a lower budget Law and Order with wrestling.
Yes.
I can definitely see that comparison.
Hell,
I definitely
the
can.
intern is the Law and Order team. You know, the penny shocks of the city and all places.
Yeah.
Yes. They established Los Angeles very thoroughly in every episode. Natalie, what was your impression of kind of the first episode and this comparison possibly to novellas or to procedurals or to kind of the drama aspects of it all?
I definitely I picked up on the I did pick up on the soap opera aspect of it. After spending my misspent college years watching a lot of Days of Our Lives on top of, WWE and WCW, it was very soap opera-y to me, but in a good way, not in a in a bad way. It was entertaining, which is why I watch those things. So. And I agree, the heel, promoter or authority figure has been done to death, but, he is entertaining just to watch, and I like their spin on it. And
Yes.
they did firmly entrench that this is in LA with the overhead shots of the city, and that part I actually liked a little, it
The
wasn't in
temple.
some nameless place, but
It's in the temple. That's
the temple,
inexplicably
yes,
in
that
Los
was
Angeles.
Temple.
stated.
The temple, which is another word for abandoned factory we rented.
Yes, that used to have Wrestling Society X in it. Yeah.
Yes.
You have a temple sign at the entrance.
Like we can go like, this is a temple. That's the spot where human tornadoes.
These are the
jump off the
believers.
balcony.
These are the believers in the temple.
Yes. All earnestly chanting things that weren't in fact at all edited or piped in ADR.
Nope.
Nope. But yeah, speaking of Dario Cueto not only he's fantastic, but also he did find a moment to channel Teddy Long in the second episode, right off the bat.
Before we go on to episode 2, I instantly, from her first promo, I instantly fell in love with Sexy Star. I loved this promo so much. Like, it made me an instant believer. Like, I already knew who Sexy Star was and had an idea of how the fact that she was a star, but man, just this promo and her story and everything about her, I just fell in love. I'm already just madly in love with Sexy Star, and I want her to win all the titles everywhere.
Yes, I definitely got hooked in by her promo. I thought it was one of the better kind of, interstitial scenes. I thought they took a very small amount of time and you knew exactly about her character, especially important for somebody, a first-time viewer or somebody who doesn't have the background and, may not watch, AAA or any of the other promotions where where some of these people have showed up before. I thought it was really well done.
I especially love the talks with masks that came out of nowhere. Like, oh yeah, we walked back the alley and they're going, oh no, Lucha sucks. That was the best.
Because that's what happens when you're a luchadora. That's what happens.
You
That's
refer to
right.
nameless lucha's thugs. That it's because everybody thinks
Lucha
only
thugs.
was
That'd be a great faction. The Lucha thugs.
Hey,
Lucha's
show
thugs.
them the mask on Cisco and Cortez.
Hey, everybody has their starter mask. Not everyone finds their identity. Everybody has their starter mask and just wanders the street looking for a fight. It's just how you do. That's how luchadors are born.
That's on WAP. Attack people on the streets.
Yes,
Right.
it's how it happens. But yeah, going into that, that was a fantastic premiere. I think we all agree it did definitely set a tone from its first episode, which was very cool and interesting. And you jump into the second episode, and like I said, right off the bat, we kind of pay off a little bit of. Well, the first episode ends with the tease of Dario Cueto dangling the $100,000 that the MacGuffin that was the $100,000 in front of Johnny Mundo, and then slamming it shut in his face, not unlike Richard Gere slamming the pearls on Sandra Bullock's fingers, but not in a cute way. Uh, he then summons the thugs of his own, including one man who used to go by the name of Ezekiel Jackson, now by the name of Big Rick and his crew. And that sets up
with Ricky Reyes. Good for him. Good to see Ricky Reyes still getting work.
Yes. Those two guys, Cortez Castro and Mr. Cisco here, they start off the second episode introducing themselves because they have to. It was very odd, the elaborate way that they had to kind of go, we're going to cut a promo. Hey, my name is...
That was very clunky. Very clunky.
They did that. At least they took, and this is something that wrestling promotions do so little of. They end the first episode with these guys, and then they start off the next episode with these guys actually introducing them, explaining what the hell they're doing and who the hell they are. That was actually really good in my opinion. And it led into a tag match, kind of advancing the storyline between Johnny Mundo and Prince Puma, who is being advised by Conan. Make of that what you will. Into a tag match.
Mm-hmm. A nice little tag.
So we're actually seeing, in just 2 episodes, we're actually seeing some storyline progression, which is really, really great. You're going to see that with Prince Puma and Johnny Mundo. You're going to see that with Chavo Guerrero. And later on, this episode introduces Mil Muertes, a guy that I'm already, really into. His backstory is probably the most fascinating backstory I've heard from a wrestling character in a very, very long time. This is one of those things, and Natalie, I want to hear your thoughts about this. All of these characters have these incredible backstories that are just not explained here in the States, and I'm loving this. Natalie, what do you think so far watching this, seeing the backstory behind Mil Muertes and Prince Puma, and how they're working all of these other segments with the other characters into what's happening in the ring?
I think in this episode was the Mil Muertos, there goes me butchering his name, promo, or not even a full promo maybe, but just they had the female voiceover, and 1,000 deaths are coming with the eerie kind of background and hallways. I thought it was very well done. I think sometimes, to use a comparison to the WWE, they try to tell too much up front. They want you to know everything in the first 15 seconds, and sometimes the old school intro promos that WWE used to do were not like that. They were literally 10 seconds of very similar, and that to me is more effective. And with this promotion, they have some people would call it a disadvantage. I think it's an advantage of people not being aware of a majority of the people on screen, and that already is intriguing. And then if you tie that with a put together, well produced little snippet, or stinger, if you so to speak, it makes me want to watch more. So
yeah, it was an interesting second episode, tag team heavy. A couple tag team matches, and ending up with Mil Muertes being the hired gun to try to finally take out Blue Demon Jr. at the call of Dario Cueto. Finally.
Honest question: isn't Blue Demon Jr. really, really old at this point? Isn't he in his 40s or something?
he has that classic Matt Classic look to him that Matt Classic is parodying.
Chavo's got to be close to that age too, but he still looks pretty great too. So come on.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's a different thing. But a lot of things were set up and a lot of things were established. Armando, what was your impression of the second episode?
Hmm. It felt like more of the same, but considering this is the start, that was good. And the intro with Mil Muertes, my jaw dropped when they mentioned the earthquake. I did not expect that. That
Yeah.
earthquake from many years ago, that's a sensible thing for people. And it was done well. I can't complain about it.
Yeah, it's something they established in the I believe the third episode, and then they teased it in this episode. I think with the Rock, we didn't quite like Natalie said, they just enough
Oh, wait.
information in the second episode. With the Rock introducing, kind of having you intrigued why this object was important, and then on the third episode, giving you the backstory and telling you that at a later episode, not flooding your brain with too much information right away, but giving you enough information, keep you intrigued, and then establishing more and more. Kind
Oh,
of
right.
storytelling.
That wasn't episode
And
3. My bad.
no,
That's
no,
right.
no, no, but it's something that is good to bring up now because of how it goes in from episode 2 and episode 3, how well they did that storytelling wise.
Yeah.
And I think
Telling
that's
stories from episode to episode. What a crazy
Yes.
concept.
Crazy.
Right?
Of course, I did enjoy the fact that when Chavo Guerrero came into the ring with the obviously impending, all I can think of is that moment when Chavo Guerrero Jr. hits Blue Demon Jr. with a chair. I can imagine Blue Demon Jr. Saying, "Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal."
Yes, agreed.
Because you can see that him turning, because it's like that is such an obvious moment whenever you see it in wrestling. Guy comes in, hits no one with the chair that he has in his hand, but chases them out of the ring and is standing with the ring.
Suddenly.
Plus, it's
And then-
Chavo. That's
Oh,
what he
he's gonna
does.
turn. Yeah. But
I will say that during episode 2, there was something that I started to notice. I myself in the past have said that I am a fan of commentator, manager, and occasional wrestler Matt Striker.
Mhm.
And when I heard him on the first episode as the play-by-play man for Lucha Underground, I was all in. This was another positive for Lucha Underground in my book. And having Vampiro as a color commentator, okay, it makes sense. He has a pretty good understanding of Lucha Libre. All right. And then, brother, a couple of episodes in, brother, the show started going on and on and on, brother. And I started hearing Vampiro, brother, and it started getting really, really, really annoying, brother.
How old?
Oh my god. To the point where I had to tweet out that Lucha Underground now has a drinking game. Because every time Vampiro says brother, you're going to have to take a drink. In the next season or the next batch of episodes they have to do, that has to stop, please. I know that's something people in the wrestling business do and say, and god damn you, Hulk Hogan. But please stop with that. Stop brothering me. I'm not a brother. I'm not in the business, brother, Jack dude.
Yes.
Also, Matt Striker, when talking about the ladies, when talking about Sexy Star and Ivelisse and Katrina, Mil Muertes' manager, he started getting a little bit more condescending and a little bit more sexist than I would like. He's going to have to dial that back a little bit, because Matt Striker's good, but sometimes he gets a little too, how do I put this? He gets a little too inside for his own good. And me, of all people, saying that, Mr. Super Duper Smart Mark, he gets a little too self-amused saying certain things. So far with Lucha Underground, the only real gripe that I have is Matt Striker, who I like, who was not terrible, and Vampiro, brother, because that needs to stop.
Yeah. Well, what did you guys think of the commentary of the shows, just in general?
Yeah, the brother thing was, if you made that into a drinking game, you would have to be hospitalized. The other thing I noticed, and this is going out of order, but um, I think it was in episode 4, and I think it was Vampiro who kind of takes a, like, I don't want to call it a cheap shot, but it was at Divas.
Yeah, I know
And
what you're talking
Stryker,
about.
of
NTT
course,
thing, yeah.
cackles, and that just seemed a little, TNA-ish, actually. A
Yeah,
little.
I agree.
I'm like, there's a reason that, back in the day, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, you didn't mention the other promotions, because it doesn't serve you
Yeah.
especially at this point in their development. Um, I was like, it's a little TNA-ish, and
Yeah.
that's not good.
That's usually not a good thing.
Not a good thing.
Yeah. No. Not to, yeah. The whole making jabs like, hey, that other big time promotion. And like, yeah, but there's a big time promotion and you're not, so
Right.
there's no need for you to be like all like because you look pathetic.
No colorful T-shirts here.
So that too.
Yes. Armando, what did you think of the commentary?
I found it refreshing for once on the first episode, and by the second I was tired of it already. Vampire is just bad.
Yeah, it was a little bit
Yeah.
much. I think I almost.
Yeah.
I
Also,
think maybe we could have brought back the guys from Wrestling Society X. Those guys were fun.
there was a thing. There is another drinking game there. Every time Stryker or Vampiro make a pop culture reference that fits absolutely nowhere, you drink.
That's
I
Mark
appreciate-
Stryker's entire career.
I appreciated his, even though I don't know the source material, I appreciated his reference to the Beyonder.
I did
The
too.
secret.
I do know the source material, and I did too. I was like, because I also am a comic book nerd, I'm like, wow, that's deep. The Beyonder.
I will say also that when someone in a match did the Sling Blade, and Matt Stryker actually called out Hiroshi Tanahashi, that really, I really got a kick out of that.
That was good.
Yes, that was good. He just needs to dial that back just a little. Just dial it down is all we're saying.
Before we finish up on the episode 2, Eva Lise makes an appearance in episode 2. She's a person now that's ever since her time in Tough Enough has been back and around the Indies and making headway and being Shine champion for a long time and doing some things. And I think does a pretty good job here. What was your guys' impression of Eva Lise's presence?
Wow.
Okay, so episode 3.
Armando, Eva Lise.
Sorry, this thing kinda block off. It freezes from time to time. Sorry.
Sorry.
She was cool. I admit to never having seen her before. I'm a casual like that. I had not seen any of her work besides when she got kicked out of Tough Enough because reasons.
Yes.
I like her. She works. I would like to see lady there.
There's also another Tough Enough alumni on this show. I don't mean Johnny Mundo, by the way, but Son of Havoc is played by none other than M-Dog20, Matt Cross, also known as Tough Enough's Matt Kappa something. I can't pronounce his last name.
Great. Now I have to love that guy too.
Yeah, but that is also Son of Havoc, Matt from Tough Enough.
Yes.
And
they're in a team together.
Yeah.
Romantically linked. Of course, fantastic. Episode 2 also sets up further storylines. Not only the Mil Muertes, but setting up Chavo Guerrero's jumping in and taking Mil Muertes' kill. So, which is, I mean, for all of the Ladota and LOL players are pissed at him because he took his kill. And that further sets it up, and of course further setting things up for Conan reminding Prince Puma that Johnny Mundo's fight isn't his. Going into episode 3. Let's talk about El Mariachi Loco for a second.
Okay, you talk about El Mariachi Loco. I will talk about Masquerita Sagrada. You go ahead first.
Dario Cueto bringing us another fantastic Dario Cueto moment, where he comes out and people and exclaims that, hey, people are asking him, why can't you have more lucha, and he does the most hilarious, more lucha, more lucha, and he's hilarious, and he brings out his chosen luchador, apparently from the Mexican restaurant down the street, El Mariachi Loco,
From
who
the
plays it
Mexican
up.
restaurant down the street, El Mariachi Loco.
Oh, can I mention? I love the announcer. I love the fucking weird places he announces from. From beyond the
Yeah.
grave.
That to me is so very lucha libre. I love it.
Yes, and she pronounces the Spanish very well, which is I think the other important thing that she needed to do.
And she doesn't say the following contest. She says the following lucha.
Yes, which I think the distinction, which is beautiful. But yeah, and Mariachi Loco hilariously playing it up with the air trumpets, which is just beautiful.
That's racist.
Yes, but he's actually Mexican.
That's even worse.
Yes. But yeah, go ahead and talk about Mascarita Sagrada.
Masquerita Sagrada, the living legend that he is. Now, I'm going to throw this one to Natalie. Masquerita Sagrada. We're going to have a little bit of time continuity thing going on here. But what did you think of this opening match in episode 3 with Masquerita Sagrada? What did you think of him?
What did I think?
The noted mini luchador.
The noted mini luchador, yes. I have much written down overall on this match, except for the fact that I thought it was entertaining in a inside way as far as the setup for it. The whole, the setup, the lack of authentic lucha talent and calling the fans whiners. Not that any wrestling fans would ever be whiners.
No.
Ever. Never. I think Stryker did a really good job kind of putting him over kind of as a lucha libre legend. I think sometimes Stryker can go overboard, as we said earlier, but I think he did a good job of kind of, playing it up a little bit. I don't know how much mileage this will get, though, is my only, I think...
Now, you say that.
Right.
Now, Neo, what if I told you that you've already been watching Masquerita Sagrada on WWE television for quite some time now?
I wouldn't be surprised.
And yes, spoiler alert, everybody, Masquerita Sagrada is now currently in World Wrestling Entertainment, now known as El Torito. Yes, that is El Torito. When he's, I'll say when he ups his power level and is actually, doing actual lucha rather than, bumping around with the 3MB and the Matadores. But yeah, I've said for quite some time, Masquerita Sagrada is awesome. And I was really happy to actually see him do this stuff. That made me really happy.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but you are wrong, sir.
Am I? Ooh, go on.
Mascarita Dorada is Torito. Mascarita Sagrada is Mascarita Sagrada.
Did I have my Wikipedia articles wrong?
Yeah, actually, he was. Now, you were right that Mascarita Sagrada it was in the WWE a couple of times. A couple of instances.
He was.
He was Mini Nova or Nova, and he often teamed with Max Mini. And
I had my
believe
Wikipedia
recently
articles messed up. My bad, everybody. My bad.
But yeah, Masquerita
Thank you,
Dorada.
Armando, for the correction. Thank you so much. That's
rushed
why
to
we brought you
Wikipedia.
on.
Not to say we don't wish Masquerita Dorada had a better thing than being El Torito. Another guy we wish had it better, but hey, whatever. But yeah, Mascarita Sagrada has been in the WWE in different forms, and again, this is him at his home style, his home, not necessarily physically his home, but spiritually his home,
In
which is
his
in a
element.
lucha libre
In his
ring.
element.
Yes, exactly. Of course, in the same episode, we furthered along, like we mentioned before, this furthered along the Mil Muertes storyline. We learned a little bit more about his background. We learned what the stone is that he carries around that he lets only Katrina watch over. It is a piece of the rebel he emerged from. Uh, he went ahead and he was in a contest against the poor soul that is known by the name of Ricky Mandel, who was in his way. Let's talk about another cool thing about Mil Muertes is how old school he looks. Similarly, in the way that Blue Demon Jr. looks, it's a very old school looking mask, very old school looking dressing when he comes into the ring. He's wearing blue and white uh, pinstripe tight pants, which is very kind of you know old school feeling in and of itself. It's very classic lucha. I
I
think
called
he
it.
embodies very classic lucha rather than new style lucha. Uh,
And I was really surprised in finding out who was actually portraying him. This was rather surprising.
but yeah, as you were about to say, you had thoughts, Armando.
Yeah, I call those Suba tights. They are Suba pants, but tights.
Yes,
You can't tell me they don't.
yes, Zubas, the classic Zubas. I almost ordered. I tried to order 2 pairs of Subas for DJM and I would wear at a Dragon Con we were both in, but it didn't work out.
Subas and fanny packs, brother.
But it will happen. It will happen. But yeah, more fantastic elements from me and Muertes. I'll ask you, Natalie, how was your impression of seeing him in this contest and how the storyline progressed for him? We'll go back and revisit that.
Well, I think, a contest is being very liberal with that word, but
Yes.
I like the progression. We got a little bit more about what his deal is, um, you know, um, about the 1985 earthquake, and I thought they did it very well because you could so go completely wrong and off the rails with such a sensitive topic. But I think they did it enough, and then they moved on basically. Um, so like I said before, they're showing just enough to get people interested, and make sense that it was basically a squash match.
Yes.
They showed a little bit, as far as in the ring, and then yeah, so
Yes.
more later.
And then Emil Muertes must destroy. He must destroy you. And it was interesting as well. Then we get more of like the story on other elements of the story of Conan warning Chavo in the back, which I thought was a very interesting skit because it was like we hear pray tell, just watch yourself, make yourself instinct, referencing politics like Conan.
There is one thing I will
obviously do.
there is one thing I will say that I agree completely with on Vampiro. Never trust Conan.
No, never trust Conan.
Armando, never trust Conan, right? Am I right?
Yes.
You could never begin to trust Conan.
Never.
No.
Ever.
No, never, ever. But yeah, you can trust him on one thing though, is that he brought supposedly brought some fantastic luchadors for Dario Cueto to feature in this episode, which was in a 3-way contest, Drago versus Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix.
I will say the one
fantastic talents, yeah.
the one thing I will say about Lucha Underground so far was that there was a bit of a premium on quality wrestling until this match. This was awesome. I really liked it.
Yes.
Natalie,
These characters were
this
fun.
match, the main event of episode 3, Phoenix, Drago, and Pentagon Jr. What'd you think?
I thought it was a great match. I mean, it was basically, no time wasted. I mean, we're like, not even 8 seconds in, and Pentagon Jr. is already doing a plancha or something to the outside, and that was, lots of action, lots of high spots, um, and even higher spots because I think there was a balcony spot as well. The crowd was into it. A little bit of, this is awesome. Um, I thought it was a very, very good match. Now, granted, maybe I'm skewed because, of what I watch, mainly is WWE, but so maybe my standards are not great. But I thought it was very well done.
Mm-hmm.
Armando, like I said, I was of the opinion that there wasn't a lot of quality wrestling so far in Lucha Underground, and this match kind of changed my mind. There was a lot of story and a lot of world building, but until this match, I felt like we got some really good wrestling. What did you think?
Yeah, you see, the way they tried to adapt lucha to American mainstream setting, it didn't work at first. There was a bit of a clash, especially when you see matches like the first one with Chavo versus Blue Demon Jr., which was slow build. Then Prince Puma and Johnny Mundo tried their best, but it's still not feeling it. This works. This was fast. This was fun. There were bombs.
Yes.
Also, can I mention something?
Yeah, go
When
ahead.
when they talk about Mil Muertes origin, even though I love it, I can't help but think, when will they reveal that Mil Muertes caused the earthquake himself? And when will they reveal Mil Muertes' long lost brother? Red Mil Muertes.
Maybe Mil Muertes' long lost brother will try and take Katrina away from him.
Yes. And yes. But I loved Drago. I loved the whole
Drago was so awesome.
the
Drago
whole
was
look.
so awesome.
Though I wondered why nobody tried to do the Dragon Rend shout to bring him down. He was flying all over the place. You could just do Dragon Rend. Just go, bah.
And I'm hoping that he starts incorporating more dragon-based offense.
Yes.
The dragon screw leg whip, the dragon suplex, the elbows to the side of the head like the American Dragon Bryan Danielson. Whatever happened to that guy?
Yes.
And just more of that. And I don't expect him to do anything Dolph Lundgren based, but so far, Drago might be my favorite character in the show, and he hasn't even really said much of anything. Just
Yes.
looking at him is just incredible.
He's another future entrant in my fantasy all dragon battle royale.
Yes.
All right up there with Dragon, Ultimo Dragon, Super Dragon, and there's a few of them. It's like
But American Dragon Bryan Danielson will end up with the win, of course,
yes,
because
of
I
course.
will be co-booking this with you.
Yes. Of course.
I don't know if people
That
know
is that
but
battle
I'm
royale
kind
will
of a
be
fan of him.
yes. That battle royale will also be followed by an all tiger slash big cat challenge, an all big cat contest.
The
with,
Kitty Battle Royal.
Yes, Extreme Tiger, Jushin Liger, and the list could go on and on. But yeah, that was another fantastic contest. That's kind of
Also,
really,
before we go on, Phoenix was
yes.
pretty fantastic. The early press releases and information coming out about Lucha Underground was Prince Puma. All about Prince Puma. Prince Puma, Prince Puma, Prince Puma. Because, spoilers, Prince Puma is actually independent wrestling star Ricochet. Keep an eye on him. Natalie, you might be seeing him in NXT in a few years. His name is Ricochet, Prince Puma. Keep an eye on that. But I think Phoenix might be the guy that has stolen the show so far in Lucha Underground. I think he might be the one to keep an eye on more than the rest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he really showed it here, and he showed it in episode 4 as well. And kind of coming out on top in this contest, and with good reason. He really showed in that match. And going into episode 4, episode 3, Johnny Mundo had a nice little skit where he
Who
invaded.
still has his slow-mo entrance and his hair blowing in the wind, by the way.
Yes.
Not as blowing in the wind as much as it was in the WWE.
Not as luxurious.
Yeah, I was kind of a weak fan.
I think it might have just been a box fan that they helped really close.
Right.
Get a big fan inside of the temple.
Right.
Yeah, no.
Right.
But yeah, he went ahead and went into the offices of one Dario Cueto, who I didn't know was in I could have sworn it wasn't down a dark hallway. It was right outside the venue, but whatever. He demanded a match with Big Rick, and that set up the episode 4, and the main event of which was Johnny Mundo versus Big Rick, but was also prefaced by a few other cool contests. Ivelisse making another entrance, taking on Sexy Star, who put out another fantastic promo. This one, I think, really impressed me as well. Had another fantastic promo in the beginning of this contest, right, Deej?
Absolutely. I'm glad they had subtitles. Thank you, El Rey Network, because I only got some of it. I was able to understand some of it, but not all of it. So thank you, El Rey Network. And something I wasn't really surprised of is that Sexy Star with the microphone, 2 thumbs up. No problem with it. And I don't know if it was just the believers in the temple who were totally not plants, but it seems as though the people were really getting behind Sexy Star, which I'm all on board with. Again, I'm in love with her already. She's great.
Yes.
She's great.
And then Ivelisse comes in and proclaims herself the new Trina, or at the very least, she proclaims herself the baddest bitch. And they have a contest. What did you guys think of getting into episode 4? The opening contest, Ivelisse and Sexy Star, Lucha de Femenina, women's lucha. What did you guys think?
I think this was the contest maybe where the cheap shot at the Divas happened, I think. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, it did.
It did.
A lot of comments on cat fights.
Yeah. I like the setup of the match. I mean, it was simple, I think Ivelisse controlled most of the match until, Sexy Star, kind of steals the win. And I think Ivelisse sold the loss like she was stunned. You came away kind of thinking maybe Ivelisse should have won the match, and there was certainly more storytelling in there than we normally get with a Divas contest. But yeah, I thought it did what it was supposed to do, kind of progress, both Sexy Star and Ivelisse. So.
Mm-hmm. Armando, what did you think of the opening contest of episode 4?
I like it. No, really, it was very good. I was impressed. It was basic, but considering it's only 4 episodes in, I think basic works. Especially with the other differences, they'll mix and give you a safe introduction to the world of Lucha. Ivelisse was cool, and Sexy Star finally won. That's something.
Yeah, that made me happy too. That Sexy Star won a match. I was really happy.
Won a match on her own, yeah. Though it was a very kind of basic wrestling storytelling, though there was nothing basic about either of these ladies, I have to say. They are lovely and awesome. And it goes into more lucha, mucha lucha, with Pentagon.
We got another promo.
Another promo with Pentagon Jr., saying he get no respect. And of course, the setup of this being that he was in that 3-woman match, but he didn't win the match. He didn't lose the match. He was the other one in that 3-way contest between the Drago, Pentagon Jr., and Phoenix. So he wanted to kind of redeem himself to taking on Phoenix, and it was an very interesting promo and a very good match. What did you guys think of this contest?
First of all, I was disappointed that Phoenix didn't keep the white and red costume. He looked like a chicken, and it was awesome. But other than that, it was pretty cool. Also, I must say, I'm biased against all Pentagons. I hate them, and not in the good way.
Wow. Okay.
When I was like 10, I went to a lucha show, and the original Pentagon hit my brother in the face.
Whoa.
Not really for the sake of keeping healed, just because he was a dick.
Wow.
So yeah, I have to deal with that.
That's some serious heel heat right there. That is some serious heel
That's
heat.
old school.
Some old school stuff.
Yeah, they can do a lot of things you can nowadays.
There's something that I really wanted to talk about with episode 4 that Lucha Underground, in my opinion, did really well. And buckle in, kids. This is the part of the show where DJM starts to talk really, really inside baseball. And I'm going to take a transition from episode 3 with the three-way match and bring it into episode 4. Now, episode 3, you had this really awesome three-way contest where Drago, Pentagon Jr., and Phoenix all looked really, really great. Then, in the end, Phoenix won the match. I think, yeah, Phoenix won the match. And Drago took the fall. However, later in the next episode, Pentagon Jr. got a microphone and he got promo time to advance his character, to tell everyone what he was all about. And then he had a match with Phoenix. And the two of them looked really, really good. Phoenix came out with the win once again, really kind of upping his status as this really, really good talent in Lucha Underground. Pentagon Jr. got some character advancement, which was really, really good. And then right after this, we got a vignette with Dario Cueto and Drago, leading into his match against King Cuerno, this brand new character. And in the end, Drago came out with the win. So you had all three of these guys all looking really good and having some time spent on them to make all three of them look important from episode 3 to episode 4. And that was really, really good writing and booking, in my opinion, between the last episode and this one. But that was one thing that I noticed and really, really liked. But moving on to the next match, Drago and this brand new character, King Cuerno. I've got to ask what you guys thought about King Cuerno. This was almost too much. Like it was great. He's this hunter, and he's looking for prey.
He's my favorite.
Give me more of this. Give me more.
I had to say, before we get your thoughts, I have to say I could have sworn, because of his fantastic English, I was trying to figure out which American indie wrestler he was, but he's not. He's an actual luchador, and I was wrong. But what did you guys think of this contest?
And King Cuerno.
King Cuerno.
Natalie, you first.
Where to start? King Cuerno. I guess back it up a little bit to the video package. Chopping wood, and it's got some antlers and hunting and stalking prey. How I said earlier, sometimes you can veer too much. I don't think they did, but I think maybe they were tipping over a little bit.
They got a little close.
They started to get a little bit, It
got a little.
Hit me, pre-Attitude Era promo.
Yeah.
Just a tad. To think if they pushed it a little bit more, this would have gone into, gotten ridiculous really quickly.
Mid-90s WWF territory. I completely understand.
Yes.
I have to say, the chopping wood combining with Matt Cross's beard just makes me miss Grizzly Redwood.
Yes.
Yes. But Armando, what did you think of the match? And
Well,
King
I said it
Cuerno?
before. He is my favorite. King Cuerno is the best. I'm weird like that there is no such thing as too much for me. Go all the way if you can. 11 and over.
I totally get where you're coming from on that one, which is why I appreciated King Cuerno for who he was. I absolutely appreciate it. And again, the vignette with Dario Cueto and Drago in this episode, where Dario was like trying to give Drago the business, saying, "What did I bring you in for? You didn't do your job." And then, Drago did his spitting thing and tried to intimidate him, and Dario Cueto was like, "Huh, okay, whatever." And then he just did the thing with his eyebrows. It was like, "What? I'm the boss. What do you want to do?" And I love Drago. I absolutely love Drago. With me, Drago can do no wrong. So I totally get it with King Cuerno. I'm okay with there being more of that. And
yes, more fun.
King Cuerno is a real man's man.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. I was thinking it. Thank you, Armando. Thank you for saying it. Thank you. I was thinking it. Thank you for saying it.
So, furthering along the storytelling aspect of episode 4, we had Johnny Mundo and Big Rick's main event match. That didn't end up really being a match,
did anyone else want to start chanting ECW, ECW, ECW?
Yes, 2 former ECW champions. Let that sink in.
I really liked that silver belt they had, the ECW Silver Championship. That was a great belt.
The Platinum Phoenix. That was a fantastic belt. Yeah, it really was. Like everything aside, it was actually a really cool looking belt. It had a nice prestige and style to it, which was cool. But yeah, 2 former ECW champions, Johnny Mundo and Big Rick, in a match that wasn't so much a match as it was storyline progression, because we're still in the middle of the storytelling.
They're world
still world building. Yeah, there's still world building going forward, because this show isn't over yet. So there's still more episodes to watch. But yeah, this contest, again, more establishing things. Conan once again reminding Prince Puma backstage that, hey, this isn't your fight. This is, focus on you. I'm your only friend. When Conan is never your only friend. Conan is never your friend.
Don't trust Conan.
Don't trust Conan. But he reminds me of that. And then during the contest, it was Johnny Mundo versus Big Rick. Ultimately, the lackeys, Cortez and Cisco, attorneys at law. Cortez and Cisco, partners. Again, Law and Order, partners.
Boom! There it is. Cortez. Law and Order. Cortez and Cisco. They're Dario Cueto's Law and Order. There it is.
Detective Cortez, Detective Cisco, they're partners. They gotta go investigate a homicide. But they went ahead, jumped Prince Puma, and then they went ahead and jumped John Morrison, Johnny Mundo. Further establishing that story, further establishing all of that. What did you guys think of kind of this aspect of the storytelling and what it could do going forward, and how if it did work? Or if it didn't work, what did you guys think?
As someone that loves the production values of the backstage segments, the whole way they were filmed, contrary to, say, WWE or TNA is more realistic camera setting, yes. I think they don't fit when you use them during a match. That was weird. When the attorneys at law attacked Puma, that was weird. It was a weird change of style between the match and that. But other than that, I like it. I could get used to it.
Mm-hmm. Natalie, for you, someone who is more used to the WWE style of backstage segments and how they're produced and taped, this particular segment, I thought it was really different, but I think it worked within the context of Lucha Underground. This is still very new. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, it basically was a tell, right? It's like, yeah, there's going to be some shenanigans. Anybody who has a pulse is going to know that, there's going to be the attorneys at law, I guess, are going to get involved. The match itself, I didn't have an issue with the I don't know how to say this, placement of the, or use of the promo. I mean, the match itself was pretty, simple. Uh, Big Rick is the powerhouse, and Johnny Mundo, I've been trying to keep calling him that in my head, has to kind of use his quickness to stay out of, his reach. But, it did what it was supposed to do, which was, kind of as a tell, yeah, there's going to be a run-in. So, which, I don't know, it could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. But it did its job, I guess, is what I want to say. So.
Yeah, it did. It did establish some things important. It did a really good job of kind of furthering along the idea of how much Conan was imploring Prince Puma not to get involved and to stay out of it, but then he couldn't stay out of it. He couldn't stay out of it because he didn't necessarily get involved. He was
brought into it.
Yes.
He was brought into it.
So
Conan was saying to Prince Puma, "This isn't your fight. This isn't your fight." But the detectives, they made it his fight.
Yes.
Now personal.
Yes. Now it's personal. And I think it worked well. I think overall, the storylines were, it did vary as far as the quality and kind of going from a little corny to really well done. But overall, I think all of that worked. And the first month, we're talking about a month's worth of work of hourly television, did a really good job of kind of establishing characters, establishing a flow, establishing some storylines.
And then having some good wrestling thrown in between.
Exactly. And I think that's back to what was very good about Wrestling Society X. It almost...
Armando, yes.
I'm just going to say, I was disappointed that the table had no fireworks.
Yeah.
That's it.
The El Rey network doesn't have that kind of budget yet, so we'll see.
No, but hey, the table gave in. At least there's that.
Did it?
Yes.
It broke right in half.
Perfect.
That table was.
Before he landed.
That table definitely was not like the Spanish announce table, or where it has like fighting spirit and doesn't sell.
It was not Japanese at all whatsoever.
That was a jobber table.
Yes. But it was fantastic. And I have to ask you guys now, looking back at the month overall, the first inaugural month of Lucha Underground, what did you guys think of the beginnings of Lucha Underground overall?
I enjoyed it. I think there's a limitation that they kind of neatly sidestepped when you tape a month of shows. Because technically, Chavo and Prince Puma hadn't, wrestled, but they were still in the stories, and they were good at introducing new characters and kind of establishing, some storylines, advancing storylines, which that can be a novel concept sometimes. And I think they made really good use out of the 60 minutes that they had. Maybe there were segments that maybe, we're like, okay, that's a little corny, but there was nothing like completely throwaway. So I think overall, usually after you get into a new show, you start seeing, some cracks, so to speak, and maybe the only noticeable one is some of the announcing, like the Vampiro / Brother Drinking Game.
Yes.
But I think overall it was really, I really enjoyed it.
Are you gonna keep up with Lucha Underground? I know that I don't know if you have the El Rey network or not, but
I don't.
They're negotiating with iTunes, and I'm pretty sure that it will be out on YouTube as well. So will you be keeping up with Lucha Underground?
I have a hard enough time trying to keep up with, the WWE. for better or worse.
Will you check in on Lucha Underground?
I will check in on Lucha Underground. I think there's some characters there that I want to see what's going, how they progress,
Armando, 4 episodes into Lucha Underground, what were your thoughts overall so far?
I thought they did a whole lot better than I expected, really. And considering the position I'm in, I'm almost completely done with wrestling. I stopped checking Mexican lucha. I'm done with WWE. I need to do a hell of a lot of catching up with Chikara, but I will. I welcome this with open arms, and I will be checking it out. Every time I'm not playing Smash Bros, that is.
Petey, I'm gonna go bold here. I'm gonna go all the way, and I'm gonna say that 4 episodes in, Lucha Underground is already my favorite wrestling television show. I'm all the way in. I'm loving Lucha Underground. I want more now. I'm loving it. Loving it, loving it, loving it, loving it, loving it.
Yeah. Yes.
As long as Matt Stryker and Vampiro can dial it a little bit down with the commentary, just a little, dial it down. You're at a 10, you'd be at about a 7.5.
Yes, exactly.
From there, I'm all the way in on Lucha Underground, and all of these rumors about them negotiating with other talents like the Young Bucks and holy crap, Alberto Del Rio. I mean, guys, can you imagine Alberto Del Rio in Lucha Underground next year?
Yes.
That would be freaking amazing. Yes. I'll have what she's having. I'll have that, please. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a fantastic month's worth of content, and I think it really established a lot of cool things. And I think it did everything we loved about Wrestling Society X, without a lot of its pitfalls. I think it's nearly a decade later. I think almost exactly a decade later. Wow.
Oh my goodness.
It might be. We'll have to check dates, but I think everybody has, sometimes when you tried something one time, then you come back to that idea like a decade later. Sometimes the time can wizen you, can give you a better perspective, give you a better idea how to approach the same idea, and suddenly, now it really works. And I think that's what we get with Lucha Underground on that level, and the fact that they have not only the great talent that they have access to, and being in California, being as part of the American indie scene, they can pull from people there, but they also have the talents from AAA, which I think help bolster it as well as far as content and talent-wise. So I think we're going to expect a lot of good things.
One thing about Lucha Underground that I really, really appreciate is that a lot of times with Lucha Libre, AAA, CMLL, the big two, is that it's very different from wrestling in Europe and wrestling in Japan, in that a lot of times with the Lucha promotions, they really don't make a very concerted effort to introduce what they're doing to other audiences, like the Japanese audience to a certain degree, like the American audiences that might have a little bit of curiosity, but there isn't a whole lot of introduction. There isn't an easy way to get into it unless you have Telemundo or have some already working knowledge of what's going on, or Television. With Lucha Underground, it is Americanized lucha, yes, but it is a good way to introduce American wrestling fans that might be curious about Lucha Libre into what Lucha Libre might be about. And I think that's something that wrestling fans all over can be happy for.
And I think that's a good way to end our episode. That's a good thought to end our episode. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Lucha Underground, go check it out.
Watch it. It's really good.
Let's ask the guest. So, now to wrap things up, Armando, what do you have to plug and tell people about? Where can people find you on the internet?
Really, I can't say much. I've been out of the loop for quite a several few months entirely. Lucha Underground is my reintroduction
What's
back into wrestling.
what's your Wii U name so they can play Smash with you?
Oh, Armando MC. That's all
Yes.
that you need.
Yeah, go play Smash with him. I might get a 3DS at some point just because I want to play Pokemans. So I might play Smash on there, but that's a whole other thing. Yes, Pokemans.
Natalie Serjeant, what do you have going on? Where can people find you online? Are you playing the Pokemans? Have
I
you
am
played
not
Smash?
playing the Pokemon. I am not down with the cool kids, I guess. What do I got going on? I have two friends who are indie promoters, so I guess I'm going to plug them. Two gentlemen, Joe Sousa and Michael McCurdy. They are running another show out in Eureka, California, the IHWE California show. Thomas Shire will defend his IHWE heavyweight title. So that's exciting. So if you're in the Eureka, way north California area, you might want to check that out. It'll be at Redwood Acres. They also host a podcast, IHWE Radio, on Wednesday nights. I think you can find that at blogtalkradio.com/IHWE Radio. So I thought I'd give them a plug. But no, you can find my musings mostly on Twitter at Stormy Sooner.
Mm-hmm. Deej, what do you got going in your neck of the woods? How's Anime 3000 going for you?
Oh, it's going swimmingly. Yes, I am now a part of the A3K network over at anime3000.com, where you can find all sorts of wonderful podcasts, such as The Manga Corner, The Other Side, A3K Radio, Two Guys and a Mic, and maybe the International Anime League in the future. All on the interwebs at anime3000.com. As for me, yours truly, the Deej, I'm still doing my thing with shooting the shit with two nerdy black guys. The Nanashi Anime Podcast is almost coming back. And yes, Fanny Pack Wrestling right here, but if there's anything else, just head on over to deltajulietmike.com. And you can follow me on Twitter at JustCallMeDJM. Like a fish called Wanda, you say the whole thing. Just call me MEDJM. Yow!
Yes. That's his info. You can find me on Peter Rave all over the internet. I'm doing all the shows. I'm doing 3 podcasts. I've got this. I've got Record Breakers. I've got the Halujuku, where we do the East Asian pop culture. Stay tuned. Record Breakers this week. We have special guest Geeko Suave himself, Jaime, aka Tensor Guy. This week we're gonna talk
Jaime.
Queen. We're gonna talk Queen, a kind of magic. We're gonna talk Highlander.
Nice.
There can be only one. So it's gonna be an exciting talk. So check that out. Rebelli.net for this. You can find us here, the Fanny Pack, every other Sunday night now. Because of my schedule, we switched over to Sunday night. So every other Sunday night will be live here on video. And, of course, still every other Monday night on the audio on the feed. So go subscribe, share, like, subscribe, do all the things. That's it. I will leave you with these wise words from my fortune cookie today. Failure is the only opportunity to begin more intelligently.
In your pants.
Until next time, hasta los huevos.
Beans and disease, everybody. Until next time. And that will do. All right, Natalie, Armando, thank you so much. That was awesome.
It was fun, guys.
It was great.
Armando, welcome to the internet. Congratulations.
Let's hope I survive.
Yes.
You did quite well. Thank you again.
It was a pleasure.
Broadcast. We go.